Let me welcome you to this dialogue. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. Thank you for joining us from all time zones for this fifth dialogue, on rescuing our future, small victories merging in a global reset. A warm welcome to you, all born in the same hometown, planet Earth. We belong to an extended family, descendants of common ancestors who decided to travel the world to prosper in beautiful, fertile, and pleasant lands that maximize their chances of survival and improve their prosperity. We have reached all corners of the world, but we have failed miserably to continue our ancestors' mission to live and thrive in harmony with nature. We have tampered with the extraordinary conditions that made life on Earth possible. And now humanity is putting life in mortal danger. We have lost our way in evolution because we like to imagine that humanity is the goal of the universe. We have gone astray. And now we are trapped in a system for which the only beauty of nature is its monetary value. The main casualty of our meandering journey has been harmony with nature, with other people, with other cultures, with other worldviews, with other belief systems. As a result, our species faces multiple existential threats, including ecological collapse, globalized injustice, moral decay, and the imminent outbreak of the last World War. Our precarious state is clear. We know where we come from, where we are now, and where we are headed. So the point of this dialogue is not to complain about how bad the world is, but to emphasize how good the world can be and how we can combine the transformative forces into a powerful force capable of shaping a better world. Instead of dwelling on the horrors of the past and present, let us reverse engineer the better future we desire. And guided by the moral resource of humanity, translate it into progressive action to rehumanize and dehumanize humanity. This is certainly not an easy task, because good intentions alone are not enough when the powerful forces of the current system are fiercely defending their privileges. We have bold questions that require honest and courageous answers. Three of these questions are: can the system that causes our existential problems and needs our misfortune to survive offer a solution from within? Two, has modern civilization failed as a project for humanity? And three, what social forces can rehumanize and dehumanize humanity? And all of you will add your questions and your concerns in the dialogue that we will start after these brief remarks to introduce it. There is no answer from the current profit maximization model driven by power, greed, and fame, and based on schizophrenic growth. If economic growth stops, there is depression. If economic growth continues, there is collapse. Harmony with nature is the only survival option in evolution. All other models, including the one we are currently living in, are types of induced extinction. If we recognize this, we will realize that we need to explore an extra systemic solution. The first challenge is to reclaim our authentic narrative of living in harmony with nature, which has been marginalized by current economic and political systems through false system maintenance story, such as clean energy for a dirty system and a circular solution to an exponentially growing waste, as if a two-dimensional circle could contain a three-dimensional vortex. The second challenge is to break the monopoly of false narratives supported by mass media moguls, information obesity through peer-reviewed fake news, global surveillance to silence the voices of change, and the shameful rhetoric that war is the guardian angel of peace. The third challenge is controlling our destiny. When a drunk driver maneuvers our bus between deep cliffs, passengers must take the wheel. We can no longer tolerate political and economic hegemons who jeopardize peace, destroy a habitable planet, abort equality, freedom, and justice, and hinder our inner drive to realize our potential. No species on Earth can survive forever. Earth can live without dinosaurs and without humanosaurs. But our time has not yet come. The Earth is ready to provide humanity with everything it needs to survive and thrive for ages. So are we committing suicide or is it euthanasia? The good news is that the laws of evolution are on our side. In the face of extinction, all species are creative in finding a way to survive. We need to reconnect with the driving force of evolution, which is life seeking more life. There is no other way to rescue our future. Gloomy people fail to understand that we can embark on a joyful journey with the best people. You can be happy in an unhappy world if you do everything you can to make it a happier place. Humanity's moral reserves are still in the majority and can accomplish the task of taking our destiny into our own hands. This requires participation on all levels and fronts to make small victories merge into a global reset. There is no contradiction between the local and the global, between solving everyday issues and the survival of the human race. So while we decorate our cabin with beautiful colors, we must prevent the ship from sinking. The organic integration between the local and the global, between small victories and tectonic global change requires the mobilization of all our assets to find an extra systemic solution. This brings us to the theme of today's dialogue: small victories merging in a global reset. The stakes are high and no one has the solution. This is why we need to engage in an open and respectful dialogue between peers where no one claims leadership, authorship, or birthright. We must listen to each other carefully, and everyone must be able to express their opinion freely with the intonation of their own voice. So you can start now, after these brief remarks, with our dialogue. Let's start with a quick round of introduction where we tell each other who we are, where we come from, and what we do. Let's take not no more than a minute so we have enough time for our dialogue. So let's start. And take the Chase. I see you in the first image, please.
My name is Cees Hamerink and I'm the president of the Rescue Our Future Foundation. I'm a was for over 30 years a professor at the University of Amsterdam. And I'm now presently in Mexico early in the morning, a bit too early to my taste, really. But I'm also a Mexico professor at several universities. And it's a great pleasure to be here, particularly because now at this point in time, Mexico is in an extremely dangerous situation. They have a neighbor upstairs who is an absolute psychopath and who threatens not only to raise tariffs on Mexican projects, but there's always the lingering risk of the United States invading Mexico and wanting to reclaim property over Mexican soil. So it's an extreme, but we have, fortunately in Mexico, talking about small victories, the small victory here is an excellent female president, Claudia Sheinbaum, who is one of the few political leaders in the world who has the courage to speak up to Donald Trump.
Okay, thank you, Faith. Oh, sorry. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Ray.
Hi, everyone. Gosh, that was long, Glenn. There was 3 points and 3 this and 3 that. I took in as much as I could. I get where you're going with this. Thank you. Who am I? Coming up to my 60th year this year. All my life, I've been getting into what Michael Meade would describe as the right kind of trouble. Most people see me as a change catalyst. I've worked in big organizations, small organizations, one-to-one. Really, my focus is on how can we start to see the things that we are looking through and actually have choices and move to a bigger game for ourselves. And latterly, these days, it's more about really how can we pull ourselves away from all the things we're buried in to actually see what's in front of our noses and start being and stop doing all the time.
Okay, thank you. Christina.
Hello, everyone. I'm Christina Imre, is what you could call a polymath, interested in multiple domains as a serial entrepreneur, co-founder, co-partner, consultant, doing a lot of endeavors through my life in a pursuit to understand human nature and business combined in a way to see how we can evolve, basically evolution meaning a lot to me. For the last few years, I drive the global impact initiatives through Tech Leadership Lab, and that was focused on sustainable developments around our future, acting as good ancestors. And now things shifted a little bit, and I'm leveraging what I've learned to broaden my impact, and both through strategic collaborations and also exploring new avenues that might answer the question that Greg just asked us today about how we could do in a way that we evolve in a sustainable way, not just for us, but for the future generations.
Thank you, Christina. Ronald.
Okay, finally.
Yeah.
And thank you very much. I'm Ronald McFarlane. I'm based in Toronto, Canada, also being threatened by a nutcase. In our case, it's a nutcase south of us. So clearly, we are into a challenging time, but I hope that being in a challenging time, it will help us focus on making the change we actually need for the future we are all seeking for humanity. I'm an environmental health specialist. I've worked in the environmental field, mostly related to toxic chemicals. And I did spend 20 years in public health addressing various social determinants of health. And lately, my my biggest project is have been slowly writing a book, which I've called as a working title, Metamorphosis, the change we need for the world we want, addressing the triple environmental crises of pollution, nature loss, and climate change.
Thank you, Ronald. Gabriela.
Hello, everybody. I am Gabriela Barrios in Mexico too. It's difficult to say. I'm also in my 60th, beginning my 60th decade. All of my life, permanent student of social processes and trying to make life sustainable and making sense of the sense. I used to be a lawyer, but got out. When you see the information and communication technologies industry and monopolies, then you feel that really is not there where changes should happen. But I'm in a moment where recently we were visiting the Leo Trotsky museum, and I was, wow, Jesus, this is repeating again. I hope, because you only have hope with and what we are doing now. And this is for me the victories, and using the technology to get people together, at least sharing these experiences and having this tool to act together. And I also have been living the last 9 years in Europe, in Amsterdam, and see the tremendous contrasts with Latin America, how people are disconnected from Earth, how people don't know that they don't know, and they believe they have democracies. And my country has passed so many interventions in the 18th century, 19th century, 20th century. And now these fellows, they war against drugs. They don't tell you they want the lithium, and balkanizing a country is part of the process. It's what I can see, but it's very interesting times, and which we will multiply this exercise thanks to Glenn, thanks to SAIS, and well, we keep thinking together on solutions and actions. And thank you to be here this morning.
Okay, thank you, Gabriela. Erika.
Hi, I'm Erica Smith. I started a journal a couple of years ago, Angle and Perspective. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I'm trying to use my online journal to bring more awareness to some of the issues that our world is facing, and to also kind of just encourage people to get outside more, to be exposed to nature, because I think that being exposed to nature gives you an appreciation for it. And a lot of people are just stuck inside, working in offices every day or going to school, stuck inside a lot. So I just recently went to a conference in Orlando. So I'm from North Florida, and a conference for farm school where the teachers and the
Oh, I see that Erika had some problem. She's back. Yeah, she's back. And Erika, we haven't missed you.
so the conference was for basically to try to help the local food system become stronger. So the schools are partnering with local farmers and trying to find any gaps in between where the farmers and the teachers are having difficulty, the cafeteria is having difficulties. So they try to address those issues and see what kind of solutions they can find. But I was able to interview quite a few people there, which I hope to share soon. And there's definitely some progress being made there. So that's a small victory in our local food system. And then I'm also trying to use the journal to encourage people to live more morally conscious, and to build community and to have appreciation for community, especially when technology has changed a lot of the way that we view community. And yeah, so that's where I'm at.
Okay, thank you, Erica. We have Psyche Pet Pro. They didn't put his name, but let me please introduce yourself. I don't know the name exactly. Yes, Psyche Pet Pro 1. Not quite. I just saw your image. Okay. Yes. Oh, that's
Pat, it's Elaine.
Elaine. That's you. Welcome, Elaine.
Yeah, I'm not at home. This is makeshift. So, and I'm on my iPad, and except I'm I'm a psychologist, a long admirer of Glenn and his articulation of the issues. I am concerned about AI right now. I'm working on a book like Passions of the Soul in the Age of AI, because I'm concerned about AI being a force for good or a force for ill. I think it's going to be a big issue in terms of whether we turn around the many problems that we have. AI has the capability of helping us really move into a future that's better. But how we use it, how we destroy the environment, getting it together, et cetera, is a very big issue. So to me, that's a critical focus in terms of protecting our future. How we harness the power of AI or how we misuse it.
Tell us where you are from, what you do, that people know you a little bit. Elaine, your name?
Sorry, Elaine Ola Oye, New York. New York, New Jersey.
Okay, thank you. I like to comment on artificial intelligence. I would say the most dangerous artificial intelligence for evolution is the human intellect. Okay, then we have Kigundo. Ronald, please.
Hello, colleagues. Can you hear me well?
Yes, I hear you fine.
I'm Chigun Ronadrigan. I'm from Kampala, Uganda, and I'm the team lead at Action for
You're frozen. There's a communication link I see, Kigundo. We don't hear you now. Okay. Okay, we'll hear you from you later. So we have only 9 persons here. We have 32 people who confirmed to register, but for some reason, people are too busy being busy, I think. Anyway, we have small group. That means that we have all the time to take our time to exchange views. And we can start the dialogue now. And basically, the mechanism is just you can just take the floor. If you turn, you raise your hand and you make your comments. You can make new comments. You can comment on others. We know that we have big issues to deal with, and we don't have the solutions, or at least we don't have all the solutions. So I think this forum, small forum, can help us to share ideas and to support each other on our way to find a way out, to say so. So the floor is open. You can just take the floor, and then we start our dialogue. Please, feel free. I see a very good indication that everybody is hesitating to talk, and that is a very positive thing, because in life, in these meetings, you should listen first, ask question, and then respond. So I'm happy to see people are listening, but I see that we can start. Says, I see you unmuted.
Okay.
Okay, say
Can-
Samaling.
No.
Say Samaling, and then we continue.
Well, it's only for a short type of information because we talk about a better future. We talk about future generations, but the future generations are not here. And that's why I'm very happy that one of the youngest participants, usually in this dialogue, Jimena Ruiz here in Mexico, has agreed to set up a special Instagram account because it's her opinion that young people don't any longer use the mechanisms like Facebook or whatever. That's old fashioned. That's all very medieval. Young people use Instagram. And we have last week together made an Instagram account which is called United Youngsters 2.0. And with a small editorial team, she plans to get good content on that Instagram account and to mobilize young people around the world to talk about the future. Because we run an enormous danger, that the generation that's on its way out colonizes the future and determines what a good future is. The good future should be determined by those who are going to live in that future, and those are the young people. And young people we made a video clip already for Rescue Our Future Foundation on what young people think about the future of the world. And that's amazing what an imagination young people have and how they see the world. The only problem is that no one listens to them. So I think we should try to break through that problem and create a platform, as Jimena, who unfortunately could not be with us because of her work at the university. It's important that that platform gets going and that we listen to that generation who will be the ones to whom we leave the planet. I see not many in this company that we have this morning, not many very young faces. And yet we talk about future generations. Let's try to avoid the danger of colonizing the future. And let's provide an opportunity through Rescue Our Future Foundation to create a platform where the future inhabitants of the planet will be able to speak and have their voices heard. And let's make sure that we listen to them. This was only an announcement.
Thank you,
May-
Sis. Yes.
May I respond?
Yes.
Young people are very angry. When Greta Thunberg came to New York, it was the opening of the Youth Council at the UN. And I was at a conference where we dismissed ourselves to hear Greta Thunberg. But before that, we had the youth representatives who were going to the UN the following day speak. The anger was palpable. You're giving us voices, but we have no power, is essentially what the youth are saying to us today. The older people are in control and they're reckless with what they're doing, and they're leaving the young people every kind of problem. Many of them are getting educated and cannot find a job to repay the loans that they're creating. Social Security is threatened for them. At every level, the climate change problems are going to be more theirs than ours. At every level, speaking for them is not enough. It is a token. And they, the levels of suicide among young people have increased. And as you know, World Happiness Day was March 20th. And America and Canada too, they both went down in terms of their position on the happiness scale. And it was brought down by the young people. The older people, they were about the same levels, but the young people's feelings of happiness, feelings of security, attitudes towards the future have plummeted. And it's realistic. That's my concern. It's realistic. And I don't know that we're doing enough about that. I'm really, really concerned. So that's what I would offer right now. Is David Jaborskin on? Is David on?
No, he could not make it. You mean David Bjornsson?
Yes.
Yeah, he messaged me that he could not make it today. So he's not here.
Okay, because I'm surprised, because I checked in with him. Okay, so he's preoccupied. Okay.
Yeah.
Because he is in a group where we talk about AI in the future. And so I was looking for some responses. So that's why I'm not getting them. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Ray Edgar.
Yeah, thanks, Glenn, and thank you for that. I mean, I have two children in their early 20s, and so I'm kind of watching and seeing and picking up on those things. To look at the small victories. It's funny. This morning I had to go to the doctor's, and so I installed myself into the waiting room. I was alone in this waiting room with a lot of coloured chairs and some toys in the corner. And my immediate instinct was, oh, well, I'll just check my phone and see whether there's been any contacts. And then I said to myself, no, there's an empty room here. It's completely silent. You could just sit and see what comes up. And strangely, I know this sounds a bit crazy, but after 10 minutes, it was like, hang on, this is like an act of resistance, like something different. And it was only a small thing. And what I want to make of that, or where I'd like to extend it, if somebody had not seen, like the analogy of a frog in a bucket of boiling water, not being able to jump out, if somebody had not seen the last few years, they'd been in prison or something, and they came out and they saw everybody on the bus on their phones, and everybody, even the couples in the restaurants, on their phones, and all of those things, they would have said, wow, what happened to the world? What happened to just talking to somebody on the bus or whatever? And if I just compare that to what we said about young people, I think people are listening to young people, but some of the people who are listening to them are getting to them through social media, and that's half of the problem with the growth of extreme politics at present. Because with that anger, they are, a lot of them, unfortunately, are not Greta Thunberg. They are actually livid and looking for answers. My son, who I've had a serious amount of dialogues over why the extreme right in the UK do not offer him solutions. But to come back to the point, I think we have. It is small things, but if we could just get beyond believing that survival are mobile phones and social media, we might actually get onto a better path. I'm not saying what else we would do, but it seems to me that it's changed the order of magnitude of the problem that we believe those things are the solution.
Okay, thank you, Ray. Kigundo, you're back. Please unmute.
I'm back.
Yes.
I'm sorry. We had some rain back yesterday in Uganda, and actually it killed over 10 people. We had floods in Kampala, so we have that power black of it tends to go and comes back. But actually, I'm back. I was introducing myself to the panel. I'm Chigundu Nadrigan. I'm the team lead at Action for Veganism and Climate. It's a youth-led think tank based in Uganda, advancing plant-based food systems, compassion towards the animals, food security, and nature-based solutions for disaster and climate resilience through advocacy, research, education, and strategic litigation. It's my pleasure to be on such an awesome platform. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Segundo. So let's continue with our thoughts and exchange. Take the floor if you want. Let me make a remark because I think we realize that we have huge issues and there are so many mechanisms to keep us disoriented, to keep the youth silent, and still we see that they don't accept. And they are sometimes exploding. But that is not enough because the idea that you have to destroy before you can build didn't work so well. The idea of a revolution to destroy first and then look, okay, well, how can we rebuild is not the best approach. And evolution is the best revolution. That means that we need to have a broad movement. And that is not easy to do. And what Faye said is very important, of course, and we support it, that those who will populate the future have a very important voice to add. But that does not mean that we should not do it. It is very laudable that we would say, some of us already on our way to the exit still don't say, let me rest and let the youth do it. And that we try with what we have, with our wisdom, with our thoughts, without imposing, to mobilize people, to let themselves mobilize themselves. So I think we have an issue here, but personally, I feel, and I started this year in a very confident way. Never before I had it so, because not that the world is going well, it's going really bad, but I had the feeling that there is a point where people will say, wait a minute. And it can be small groups, but they are meeting each other. I personally are getting more context of people say, listen, this thing is bad and something has to be done. I don't know what, but let's see what we can do. We cannot say we do not. So the urge to do something, even if it's not organized and structured, is growing. It's growing fast. And these tyrants of the world, all of the superpowers, because all of them want the same thing, they want hegemony, they incite people to listen, this is not the way we want to go. This planet is ours. We are the owners of this planet. Maybe 1/8 billion part, but it's our property, and we will not allow that people mess up with our property. And that's the kind of thing that we have to bring those people together. It takes a big effort. Like I said, we have 32 people registered for this, and we have only 9 here, which is fine. But I mean, it is not that people have so many things to do. They have to survive in the system. They have to take care of what they say. Otherwise, they fire you. They drop you from Colombia. They take you out of the country. People are afraid to do things. And still, we have to find ways to overcome that. So I think I like this conversation because while we don't have a solution, we all feel there must be a solution, whatever it takes. And that's beautiful to start, even if we don't have the recipe yet.
Glenn, let me go back to what Ellen was saying about the anger of young students. I was asked to give a couple of lectures here in Mexico, at UNAM, at UAM, at the university in Pachuca, at the technical high school in Jilotepec. And every time I was warned by my colleague professors, be aware of the fact that the kids you'll talk to are enormously depressed. They see no future. Also, they see no future because their parents tell them, don't believe there's a future for you in Mexico. You've got to go somewhere else. This country, is destined to end up in enormous misery. So please, when you talk to my students, try to give them some hope. That was quite a difficult, a tall order. But what I did with many of the student groups was creating scenarios for the future they want. And that turned out to be a very productive and very fruitful exercise. Because once the kids got going and got to create scenarios and plan scenarios for their future in the year 2050, it was very clear that there was a lot of creativity and a lot of imagination, and there was a lot of laughter, and there was a lot of almost, as Glenn said, happiness about, yes, we can create a future. We can draw lines as to where we should go. So that was for me a very inspiring and very hope-giving exercise. You stand in front of over 250 young faces, all around 2021 in a technological high school, that are being told there's no future for them. They will have no jobs, or the jobs will be taken by artificial intelligence. And once you give them the tools to begin to think, it was amazing to see all these kids forming their own groups in a very imaginative ways, creating their own scenarios and coming up with beautiful solutions for all kinds of problems. So I think all is not yet lost, but we need to find a way to deal with those voices. And indeed, you know, as Helen was saying, the ones in control, the ones in power now, will certainly not listen to them, but we have to make them just bloody well listen.
Let me give a brief remark before I give Gabriela the floor. I agree with that. And that's what I meant with this very short, cryptic remark. We need to first engineer the future of our what we want. The past, we know it will not help us. The present is not what we have to amend. We have to, this is the future, and we reverse engineer and we find the path to that future. And that's what Celsius is actually talking about. And then we have a different approach than trying to alleviate the pain, trying to deal with the tyrants who are not cooperative. Gabi.
Well, I for the rest of the group, I want to share an anecdote. We were in Aruba. We did the first exercise with youngsters in the University of Aruba, also organized by Glenn. And it was this beautiful girl, 15-year-old, who said, "Hi, I want to change the world, but I don't know how." And sometimes I feel like that, but in that moment I didn't say it aloud, because we are supposed to be the adults who know how to deal with the issues. And I feel in this moment, with all this craziness around the world, the extreme right advancing so rapidly, I feel like that. I don't know how. And probably is a feeling that we all share, because everything is unexpected. And but where do we go? We go to history, we go to anthropology, we go to all together to see, even for us in our own lives, a clear short time future. Is amazing what's going on.
Thank you, Gabi. Erika.
Yes. So I just wanted to share some about when some of you were talking about the younger generation. I will be 40 years old this year, and I can definitely say my own experience and seeing the experience of my friends around me and my stepchildren who are in their 20s now, but they were younger when I met them. And, you know, they have too many stories of suicide from their friends or attempted suicide.
Yes, I know this is a terrible thing that happened to people. You can take a break if you want, then you come back.
We're sending you hugs. We're sending you hugs. This is real. This is real. We're sending you hugs. Please take your time. We will wait for you. This is the emotional experience that speaks to what we're talking about. Please take your time. We will wait for you. I will speak after. I will wait for you. Sending you strength.
I didn't mean to get emotional, but
this is real. Bless you. Thank you for expressing yourself.
But not just suicide, just seeing people struggle. And for a while, you know, I'm going to different jobs, and I had, you know, like a good full-time job and got laid off, and then all I can find is a part-time job that I have to commute to. that didn't really afford me to be able to, you know, have my own place, really make any, you know, have any confidence that I could go anywhere in my life, that I, you know, goals that I could set and achieve. And, you know, when I was younger, I thought it was just me. And then I'm seeing my other friends going through similar things, but most people are in denial about it. I think, you know, since COVID, I think more people are more willing to talk about, you know, a lot of the issues that we're facing now. But I think for me, like just the idea of and also, sorry, I wanted to go back to what Ray was saying about social media. It's not just that social media is, you know, kind of so prevalent. We've been specifically targeted to be addicted to social media, to be addicted to video games. So, you know, the younger generation have been, you know, taken advantage of. And I think that's one of the, excuse me, it's one of the motivators for me because, you know, it's not just that things are changing, it's that there are people who are purposely trying to take advantage of our generations um, without, you know, considering the consequences uh, for our entire world. Um, and then the other thing is commercialism. We've been very targeted for, you know, being bombarded with these commercials that create a lot of discontentment and, you know, make us believe that we need to have, you know, all these nice things that aren't necessarily what we need, and everything based around money and monetary gain. So my suggestion for a solution is just to teach the younger generation to be more content. The world really offers us everything that we need. I think we should go back to more, you know, less technology and more base materials from the earth, and doing things ourselves and learning to craft and to garden and, you know, take a little more care of what's in our own control. And another solution that I've seen is the intentional communities. I think are a great solution because you have people coming together who share the same values and who are also able to, you know, have a voice with each other and have that support with each other and demonstrate the kind of lifestyle that is good for the planet and good for, you know, each other. So that's it.
Thank you, Erica. The youngest one among us gave us this very powerful message, and we appreciate that. Ronald, I think Elaine wants to say something, and then Ronald, did you say something? You want to say something, or you go to Ronald? Okay.
Yes. I want to applaud the previous person. May I have her name again, please?
Erica.
Erica. I want to applaud Erica for her courage, her honesty, and her willingness to share where she really is. Many of us come to these sessions and we're not truly honest. We put on a face, we go into denial, and we really don't get to the bottom of things. And I want to applaud her for doing that. This is what I was referring to earlier. When certain young people come to speak, they no longer are able to just do academics. They don't have a future. They do not have a grip on life. They have mortgaged their lives. They have bills to pay, and the effort that they put in school, which was supposed to help them pay those bills, is not working. This is very real. And what we are faced with now is that we have this thing called AI that the technocrats have taken over. The bankers took our money, messed up real estate, and now the technocrats have discovered that they can take over. They are replacing jobs big time because they're telling all of these companies who want to make more money, I can give you a bot. What can we do about this? People, I'm trying to identify what kind of coalitions can we set up to begin to push back against this? Because AI can slow down and we can work with AI rather than be intimidated by AI and so help to build a better future. But the technocrats are using the business model and they want control, hegemony. I heard one of them, they went to some Asian country and the education minister said he needed 40,000 English teachers. This guy solved the problem for him by convincing him that he could give them tutors instead of real people. This is what's happening. It's happening. And we are feeling it. Meta, Zuckerberg, they're saying, oh, we don't need coders anymore. And to some extent, that's true. They don't need first level coders as much anymore because AI has learned to do some of the coding. What are we doing to push back? This is very real. What can we do to mobilize people to push back against this? Some of the technocrats got together and wrote that letter about slowing down AI and its intrusion into our world. But that was almost pro forma. AI is speeded up, especially since China and America are now in an arms race for who's going to control more of it. So this, to me, I see to be a very, very real problem in terms of not whether we're going to get killed, but how are we going to live? Because if people don't have jobs, if people don't have meaningful work, that creates a mental health crisis as well as a physical crisis in and of itself. And this is what too many of the young people are facing. That possibility is there. So, I just wanted to throw that out as something that we need to think about. What coalitions can we pull together to begin to address this problem? And again, I want to thank Erica for the honesty and the reality of her contributions, because it's rare that, we get this kind of honesty in conferences like this.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ronald.
Thank you so much. First of all, I will also give thanks to Erica for her sharing her wisdom and sharing it from her heart. I mean, I think that you felt a bit bad about doing it, but you shouldn't. You were really, really speaking the truth, and I think that's important. More of us have to do that. And I say that in part because my motivation for writing the book is because I know so many young people who are really depressed about climate change. And that has really been my motivation. I mean, I sat with them, talked with them, try to get them to have more hope, because I think we need hope rather than despair if we want to move forward. And so that's partly, I said, I know we talked originally about the fact that we are looking at the world of the future, which is the world for the young ones, when I'm not going to be around. But I still think we have a responsibility as the ancestors to be good ancestors and to provide the best guidance we can. And I think we need to keep that in mind. I mean, the problems we face are very complex, very difficult. and we will need 8 billion minds to go behind them to fix them. So every one of us has a role to play, no matter who we are, what age we are, and so forth. So I think that first of all, that's important to keep in mind. And I do say that one of the things that does connect with me quite well is Glenn's view of evolution, not revolution, as the way forward. That has been my view of the world ever since I've been involved in social change, is that it's evolution that we want to do because we want to build, not destroy. And so the question does become, and I think Erica has already mentioned some of the things that are already happening on the ground that are positive things. So the question then becomes is how do we catalyze or mobilize so that these on the ground initiatives that are really images of what the future should be grow. So how do we nourish them? That I'll stop now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronald. Kigundo, please take the floor.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I wanted to add my voice on the submission raised by my senior colleague. Is it Saichid Pad Pro 1?
Elaine.
I'm sorry, the pronunciation.
Yes,
I
Elaine.
was raising. Pardon?
Elaine.
Elaine.
Yeah, that's your name.
Okay, sorry, I'm sorry for pronouncing it wrongly. She was raising concerns of AI, and I wanted to, as a practitioner, in my free time, I do lecture. I do volunteer at Effective Out in South Africa, where we are introducing ideas of effective autism to the youths. And one of our core principles is AI. We are seeing AI as an extension threat to especially with the youth. So I wanted to add my voice on that submission that although AI is good, but actually among with the youth is causing more harm. Let me give a scenario. Many jobs are going to be replaced by AI. Take a scenario. I was watching news and I saw Uber, one of the global companies that are doing they do transport people from one place to another. They introduced a vehicle or a car that can drive itself, and they are saying that they are soon launching it into the market. And we have over. Let me use an example here in Uganda. We have over 5,000 youths that are employed with Uber. When you have your car, you just call Uber and you can do some business. But actually, if that is bought on market, those 5,000 people are going to lose their jobs. Basically, that's Kampala, Uganda. I can't speak in other countries where Uber has footprints. But I think she was saying that which remedies can we bring on board to address AI before it becomes an extension threat to mankind? I think we need to regulate. For example, let me use an example of nuclear weapons. There are times when countries had nuclear weapons and they are trying to use them in a wrong manner. And we all know that nuclear has advanced impact both on the mankind, plants, and the earth. And they bought an organization that regulate the use of the nuclear energy. For me, I think it would be better if we can bring, or if they can introduce or establish an organization that regulates the use of artificial intelligence, in the way that it cannot harm the planet, and the individuals that live on it. Thank you very much. That's what I wanted to add.
Thank you, Kigundo. Let me add something about that evolution dualism, if you want. The idea that you have to destroy all this before you can build is wrong. Don't fight the bad wheat. You will become a sparring partner of the bad wheat. Plant the new tree, and the bad wheat will have no water, no fertilizer as the plant as the tree grows, and it will die by itself. So what we have, and that is what I mean by evolution. We have to create the new. We have to foster the new, and then we can good will eventually overgrow evil. But if you start a war against evil, you will need those evil means because this evil is so powerful. So you have to need the same kind of weapons to destroy it, and you are in the same game. And that's the reason why I say that I discovered to say so that the only force that can still save humanity, rescue our future, is what is we can give it the name is the moral resource of humanity. These people scattered, frustrated, without perspective, but an honest view of their future. If they come together, there is no force on earth that will be able to destroy it or to break it. If the moral reserves of humanity are brought together, surely guided by young people in a particular way, because they have this big motivation. Because when their baby is born and they hold the baby in their hand, the first thing they think, what world would I leave for this kid? And that is a big motivation. So what we have to do, the point is not whether it is easy or difficult, it's irrelevant. Because it doesn't matter whether the water is hot or cold if you have to cross the river anyway. The point is not whether it is difficult. The point is where do you want to go and what we have to do about it. If it's easy, it is fine. If it's difficult, so be it. But we'll go. And I think what is happening with people, there's a lot of confusion because we realize that people, the arrogance of the system, the arrogance of evil is not more in the hiding. It is in the open. It's open arrogance. They tell you, I want to annex your country. I will take it by force. Things that were inconceivable. They would do it. It was colonialism, but they would never. No, I'm not annexing. I'm helping. They come up with another story. But now they say it because they are power. The evil is powerful. That's what we have now. And people are vulnerable. If you open your mouth, they kick you out of a country. If you open your mouth, you lose your job. And people have to survive because money is the big emperor of the world. So we have to deal with these factors. We have to acknowledge that the system is powerful, but we should not surrender. What are slaves supposed to be in a powerful system? When it is hereditary slavery, because their offspring will also be slaves. There's a point where he would say, no way, I will die anyway, but not in this way. I don't accept it. Enough is enough. We are not willing to do it. And that spark should be brought, not by jumping and destroying, but wait a minute. We want to create a different humanity. Let's create a universe for the good, for the powerful, and for the moral. And that will grow and grow and grow in a joyful project. Because I feel I'm really happy with what I try to do. And I think there is a niche there. And then we can have that people will be attracted to it instead of going back to business as usual. And even like such a beautiful meeting that if only 9 of the 32% appear, then they have a lot of issues to do with that. They are consumed by business of use. We have to break out of that. So I think that we don't have a lot of time anymore because with AI, with a very real danger of a nuclear war, particularly in the Middle East, because I'm following it, we have a lot of issues. And if that nuclear war would come, I don't hope that it comes, we will continue with who are left, but we will not surrender. And we want to prevent it. So basically, the point is that we are not willing to accept that a couple of tyrants divide the world among themselves, and we will stop it creatively. And if we don't succeed, we don't succeed, we do have to do it. I feel that something important can happen, because that boiling point has been passed and people are impatient and are not willing to accept such horrible, arrogant display of power. And that will motivate people to say enough is enough. And that's how big empires fall. But we have to be warned. An empire in danger is a dangerous empire. Yes, Ray?
Yeah. Wow. So many things. It's interesting that you said an empire is in danger, because one thing that struck me listening to everybody talking so much about the future is, as a study of history, fascinated since a child, there is a lot that history has already taught us that we can bring into the present. And before I go anywhere with that, I'd also like to acknowledge, Erica, listening to you speak to, you know, almost viscerally not being able to find what we used to think was a human right to work, to live, to succeed, etc., is so distressing. I mean, I said I had two young children in their 20s. My daughter, I convinced her that if she did a degree in environmental geography, because she didn't want to do psychology, that would be really interesting, and she could get involved in the future and shaping the future. Nothing. She can find nothing. Nobody's interested. So she spent 4 years doing that. She couldn't find anywhere to live. The rents in the UK are exorbitant. But at that point, I want to go back to the past, because I don't know whether you know, and I can only speak for the UK. But they did a study, and they said, what would it be like if people had the same chance as everybody had coming out of the 30 glorious years after the Second World War? What would we have to give young people to give them the same opportunity? And they calculated that it was between 40 and 50,000 pounds per individual, per young person, because that's the money they will not see, or the chance they will not see that that people had 50, 60 years ago, because house prices went up so greatly, and salaries have not kept track with that. And then they debated, well, hang on, if we gave everybody £50,000, all the youngsters £50,000, then maybe everybody could buy a house. And I don't know about you, but pretty much everywhere. I live in France, there's a housing crisis. I hear about America, there's a housing crisis. I hear about the UK, there's definitely a housing crisis. And therefore property prices are too high, which contributes to the problem of not finding anywhere to live. But here's the kicker. If you gave everybody £50,000 to put a deposit on a house and be able to buy a house, guess what? There ain't any houses to buy. And the reason there aren't any houses to buy, because the recent UK socialist government, if you call them socialist, New Labour, took over. They wanted to spark this great building of houses. What was the problem? They couldn't do it. The reason they couldn't do it is because there's nobody to build them. They would be 50,000 plumbers short. They would be X amount of every other construction worker you can think of, because those people don't exist. Because over the last 20, 30 years, we've been so hell-bent on getting everybody into knowledge economy and all the rest of it, that you see it everywhere. You can't go to the doctors anymore because there ain't any doctors. They're all retiring. It's difficult to get your teeth seen because the dentist's numbers are going downhill. All the building trades, all of these trades, there is nobody. They're all young. The UK survived for a decade importing people from Poland because there was nobody in the UK to do those jobs. And so what do I want to say by that? It's not just about AI. It's not just about whether we live or die with AI, because we're going to have to live with it. But we do have to find our way to getting people back to those real things as well. Because without it, we're losing touch with all the things that we need as a society. And finally, I just want to say something. When such a crisis or a similar crisis occurred, let's say 100, 150 years ago, when people were being asked to work in factories 6.5 hours a week, when children were working in factories from 8, 9, 10 years of age, the Industrial Revolution, they called it. People actually came together in unions for the things they want. Now, I know that those unions have largely been destroyed or made powerless by the powers that be in the world. But I've been dreaming recently of this idea of maybe we can form other unions where it's not about whether I'm a plumber or whatever, but it's a union of intention. It doesn't have to be that name because it's quite triggering, but a sort of a union of intention where people share those values and they actually use them powerfully, and it brings people together. So that's one thing I offer amongst a few thoughts that I've given you there.
Thank you. Thank you, Ray. Yes, please, Erika.
Yeah, something I wanted to say earlier was the generation of my parents. A lot of people who are in that generation giving the younger people advice. A lot of times it's just, well, hey, go get a job. You know, that's what I did, and that's how I got where I am. And it doesn't work anymore. A job isn't enough. So I think that's one of the gaps that needs a solution. But yeah, the housing crisis here, especially in Florida, because we have so many hurricanes and so many houses have been destroyed, or at least been flooded, and a lot of people deal with mold issues or different things like that, and the housing insurance is in a terrible state as well, because the insurance companies know, climate changes are worsening, and they don't want to have, they don't want to take the responsibility for having to constantly rebuild houses. And I don't know how it is in other parts of the country because I haven't traveled too much, but here in Florida, like there's a lot of wealthy neighborhoods, and there's a lot of high-end housing. So from the looks of it, you would think, there's people are doing well and things are well, but the difference in Florida is that a lot of people come here to vacation, or a lot of people purchase houses that they then rent out. So even though it looks like, there's a lot of nice houses, a lot of times they're turned into Airbnbs, or they're rented out as condos, or summer homes or different things like that. But there's not a lot of affordable housing for the people that live here. And I think for our state, at least, that's a shame to me. It's something I've seen since I was pretty young. Just the lack of respect that our own state has for its citizens. A lot of times they just, care about tourism and making money, and the people that actually live here don't have the best quality of life. But one of the solutions would definitely be to create housing that's affordable for people, and I don't think that's as hard as people make it out to be. It's not. North Carolina, there was parts of North Carolina that were flooded terribly, and the houses just wiped out. And some of the Amish people and some other charity places, they went up there and they built, little tiny houses in no time. They built like several a day. So it's not something that can't be done. It's just not a priority to the right people, the people in power that can make it happen. And it's not, in my opinion, it's not advertised on the media. It's not given due, it's just not put in the spotlight like it should be. Everybody's still kind of like, this is America. We don't suffer here. We don't struggle here. It's the greatest country in the world, and everybody's doing great, So that's and going back to AI, I just wanted to say, technology is a a lot of times offered as the solution to our problems, but it's also creating, I think, just as many problems. And I just wanted to note really, really small, but with AI, there's this concept of, what is reality? Like I have to constantly refrain from watching certain things on my phone because I'm like, it catches your attention, but immediately you're like, is this real or not real? And do I really want to waste my time trying to figure it out? Um, but I think we just really, our generation and the generation coming up needs to be grounded in what is reality. And I'm not really sure how to put it into words, but I think for me, like I've been able to have some sense of growing up, not so much with technology, but also growing up in the generation that is kind of taken over by technology. And the generations that are coming up, like they don't have the experience that I have of, when I was younger, going out and playing, and probably, some of the same for you guys, but just having some sense of what it's like not to do everything with technology. And the younger generation isn't going to have that. So in other words, I'm trying to say, like, these are some of the last generations that have the experience of knowing what the difference is, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm making sense, but um, yeah, it's kind of my thought.
Can I pick up?
Yes, Elaine.
I want to compliment the 9 people who are here for the depth of the conversation that we're having. I think we're each building on each other in important ways. But one thing that Glenn, you said, you've repeatedly said evolution is the best revolution. I want to build on that concept. Evolution means that life is trying to get more life, and we're going at a pace that is reasonable. When we look at where we are with technology today, technology has been increasing the pace of human life beyond what's good for humanity. And that's one of the problems with AI. It's promising us faster, and more things which destroy the planet. So I think that's very important for us to be clear about. I would like to challenge, the academicians here, our knowledge economy, in terms of what we can do as a knowledge economy. Excuse me, just a second.
Okay.
What we can do. Hello? Good morning. Okay, thank you. What we can do with this problem as an academic community, how can we push back? Our government has just invested $500 billion in America in AI, but we are cutting the educational department. How are we pushing back on that reality in America? And we have to look at what we're doing. We have to look at what we're doing we have to look at what we're doing with AI. AI is requiring us to open up new nuclear plants in America. AI is in this arms race with China. So instead of slowing down, we are finding all of the reasons to speed up. I have to go off for a minute because there's somebody at my door. But what can the knowledge economy do to push back on these realities? Because we are being attacked and we are needed more than ever. Is that making any sense? Okay, so I'm going to take a minute's break and I'll be back.
Let me react when she's not there to what she said, because we are getting to very crucial things. I came to the conclusion that the scientific age is gone, and we are now in a transition to the ethical age. That is the only way for humanity to survive. I wrote an article on it. It's an opening article of a book, which is freely available on my website. Science tells us how, science wants to know how reality is. And if there's a discrepancy between a theory and reality, then you change the theory. Ethics tells us how reality should be. And if there's a discrepancy between an ethical principle and reality, you change reality. Science should take an honorable place in the backseat of history, not on the steering wheel, because they have messed up the place. Science was instrumental de facto, not theoretically, for power, for empires, for destroying the planet, for war, and all of that. That's the first place where science is being applied is in war, is in all that kind of stuff. So we are in an age and I analyze that in the whole history of humanity, how our search for so-called truth and so-called knowledge went in 5 stages, and how we got to this place that we are now at the shift. If we don't make the shift from science at the steering wheel to ethics at the steering wheel, we are gone. This is the end of the game for humanity. So we have to enter that ethical age. And that is what I agree with Ray when Ray talks about what is called the intention, he said the union of intention. This is exactly what I mean, that we have to bring the moral resource of humanity together. I have checked, and that I did when I was writing my book over 25 years full time, which is 7 days a week and more than 8 hours per day. It's a crazy work. I checked whether the system could correct from within. And I only checked by that. I did it in my life actively. So I tried out religion and was in it deep to see where you can bring. There was no solution. I tried politics. I was in it deep. No solution. I tried science, was in it, and no, I'm no more that much in it. No solution. I tried NGOs, no solution. I looked at the mass media, no solution. And I came to the conclusion that the current system has no institution that can bring the better world, and that we have to go extra systemic. We have to look for new things. And the only force, and then the question was, what is the force that can do it? Where are the people, the force that can do it? And I came to the conclusion that the only name I can invent for that group, which is rudimentary, is weak, but we can work on that, is the moral resource of humanity. If we don't manage to bring the moral resource of humanity from the ethical perspective, we will go nowhere. There is no technological solution for anthropocentrism, the imagination that humanity is the purpose of the universe and the ruler of everything. There is no scientific solution whatsoever for that imagination, arrogant imagination that we can do and break whatever we want. And that is, science helped us to bring that famous thing that we call civilization, which we have to discuss. Because the idea of civilization was to dominate nature and to use it for human purposes. So that the very beautiful word civilization has to be revisited, because it is the cause of the ecological problem, because we want to dominate the rest. We want to survive at the cost of anything. The idea of civilization versus nature versus barbarity is a big issue. And the project of civilization has failed, I think, because civilization comes from civis, the city runner, that is the city, people you live in, city dweller. That is civis, and that was, you have to take distance from the barbarity of nature and from the rural area, and we will reign because we dominate not only nature but each other and culture and all of that. So the project of, when people say civilization is its problems, I said, think about what you say. Civilization is a problem. In that sense, if you understand civilization as a process to dominate nature, if you would like to understand civilization as bringing humanity back, bringing ethics back, then I have no problem. But that's not the meaning of what civilization stands. And AI is the most clear expression of that. Humanity is becoming the Frankenstein of evolution. That's what I said, that the most dangerous artificial intelligence is the human intellect, because we create things that we cannot control. And we let people create those things. And why they do it? For money? For wealth? For power? That's the reason why these things grow, not to help humanity out or anything. So we have to rediscuss this. And it goes very deep. We have to revisit the concept of civilization. We have to revisit the role of science, which I do in that article. I will send it to you. I have your email, or you can find it. And we have to find a way that the moral reserve, that ethics come back, that we have to ask the question, not how reality is and how we can know it. I don't care how it is and who can know it. How should it be and what can we do about it? And in the most extreme case, if nothing is left, I would say better a stone age than no age. I see Emmanuel wants to say something. Oh, Emmanuel, yes? Emmanuel, welcome. Please unmute. Are you there, Emmanuel?
Yeah,
Okay, yes.
I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Yes, we hear you well.
Yeah, actually, I'm Emmanuel from Africa, Zambia, to be specific. And I just wanted to contribute on the environmental aspect and the exploitative methods that are being used to kind of take away resources from Africa, mostly by the East for Chinese, so to say. If you can check my comment box, I've actually dropped a few images which actually show the extent of pollution that is being caused by these so-called investors from the East. It's not only that, I'm very much positive and confident that everyone attending this meeting is aware of the situation in the DRC, where wars are being used as a distraction, as resources are being extracted from these regions, and thereby causing instability. And what is so concerning, which is why I actually raised my hand to speak, is that there seems not to be enough outcry from the international community to hold these people accountable. Well, most can argue, but it's actually the truth that most African leaders are corrupt, and they can't really act on these social injustices. And it leaves you wondering where Africa lies in all this, because I heard the previous speaker speak about the advancements in AI. But with us, Africa, it really sounds as though we are lagging behind. We are not moving on the same pace with the rest of the world. And if that's the case, what can one really do to ensure that the situation is brought to balance? I think that's the contribution that I really wanted to throw, draw the attention of the participants to such occurrences, for them to understand that actually we have such things going on. In Zambia, I don't know how they have reported it, but the Associated Press actually says the liver has died, but no, the liver is flowing, but the water is polluted and endangering a lot of aquatic life, wildlife, and the environment itself. It all happened when the leaching plant, something like that, sulfuric acid was poured into an entire liver. And now we have aquatic life dying, and nothing has been done to mitigate the effects, not to mention to compensate those that are affected. And it's business as usual. So yeah.
Okay, thank you, Emmanuel. Thank you, Elaine.
I want to applaud your contributions just before the last one. Your union of intentions, I think that's a good phrase to take away from this conference. Mankind has been given lots of opportunities, and we have done some very interesting things with them. Somebody says we shouldn't call it civilization, we should call it materialization and or domination. And if we examine, if we reflect on what Glenn just provided us, we see that to be very clear. Science has been corrupted. Science has been used for domination. It has allowed us to discover more about how we can manipulate the earth, and then we destroy the earth and we destroy other people with it. We just heard what was going on in Africa and the extent to which they are being dominated. They're out of the AI race, but I know there are plans to use AI there. So I just want to applaud what Glenn said, because the moral fiber was erased in part by science. Science, we said nothing subjective. We don't need to think about emotions and intentionality. We just have to look at, quote, the reality of a situation. So we have AI now. We are discovering this process. The big question is, how are we going to use it? And unfortunately, we're using it for materialism and for domination. So I just wanted to applaud that and say, I think that's where we are today. And I don't know how we deal with intentionality. And I am a psychologist. Psychology has not really dealt with motivation and intentionality. We chose to be a science, and we look at behavior, not the intentionality. And I think one takeaway from this conference is that it's intentionality. It's what we do with the opportunities that we have that are really affecting us, not the opportunities, because we've had nuclear power, we've turned it into nuclear arms. You know, we have AI and we're about to turn it into AI arms. So I'm going to have to leave soon, and I just wanted to applaud everyone and say thank you for that level of clarity, because indeed that's where we seem to be. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Elaine. Ray?
Thank you, Elaine. I think you built on that really nicely, because indeed intentionality. Before I say what came to me, I was watching a session the other day with Bayo Akamalafi, and it's interesting because he was saying we've been duped, and he said precisely science is not a superior epistemology, and in fact we have indeed been duped about this. And what I think about that is because as an epistemology, science and knowing and thus potentially surviving in the world is what's taught to our children, and actually there's more to life than that, which is crucial. But I just wanted to point at something I've been watching for a while, because if you were to think that intentionality or even that there was proof of a better way was enough. I don't know whether anybody's been following this, but I've been following this growing call for a move to a 4-day working week. So I know that people work shifts and people work different hours, but the classic 5-day week, as won by our brothers and sisters many years ago, because of the physical nature of work, and therefore the idea of a weekend, which is now embedded in our civilization, so to speak. Even so much so in France, they didn't even have a word for it, so they used the English word weekend. And then the 4-day week came along as an idea. And why did it come along? It came along because of the well-being crisis we're in, and I make up because people realized, and they've said as much, that 2 days wasn't enough to get their head back into their bodies and actually find the time to find themselves. And what science, or at least what the results of testing this theory have shown over and over again, is that a 4-day working week is more productive, it's more healthy for well-being, and organizations do better having a 4-day week rather than a 5-day week. But here's the kicker, and this is the thing that really interests me. Even though many organizations find this out, they decide not to go to it. When I talk to people and I say, do you know this, do you know that, blah, 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 and suddenly their face drops and they say, yeah, but a weekend's always been a weekend. We can't work 4 days a week. How would that make sense? It's like a mental block, and it's really quite astonishing. So there's something there that we have to get over if we need to go to that greater moral intentionality, because even all the experiments that are occurring across the Western world, even the proof of it isn't taking us there. So there's some other barrier. To put a bright spot on that, Iceland, who are often leaders in these things, have made the 4-day working week law. Iceland were the only country not to bail out the bankers in 2008. Why? Because they asked the people, and the people said, no, they have to go to the wall financially because they created this. And everybody thought Iceland were crazy, but they're really not crazy. The first female parliament in the globe in the 9th century. Sorry, the first parliament which was half female. They're not crazy. They're just small enough to be able to see everybody around them in the community, so they make really good decisions. And also on the back of that, I want to say, I think it was New Zealand have banned social media. It's illegal for social media for children under 16. So smaller countries and smaller islands of intentionality are finding their way. So that's me just bringing a positive to it.
Okay, thank you. Who wants to share something? Let me see here. Okay, so let me make a remark on hello, yeah, on science. Okay, science should stop talking about truth and knowledge. They don't know what they talk about. The objective of science is not to discover the truth, but to reduce the degree of speculation, to make it easier to solve problems. You don't discover the truth, but you discover practical knowledge. Like animals have instinct, we have a superior form of instincts, which is pretty limited. If you read my article, I put it in the chat, I explain that that is human science, limited by all the limitation of human being and the place we are in the universe, and the limitation of our senses. And we use all of that to bring practical solution. The one who said it very beautiful is Nietzsche. All that humanity's intellect has discovered were errors. Some of those errors were more useful, and the one who discovered those errors and applied them had a better chance to survive. That is what science is about. The claim of science, I'm scientific, is nonsense. Scientific certainty is unscientific, if you ask Popper. There is no scientific certainty. It is nonsense for science itself, because you have to falsify what you have. I try to falsify at least. So science came up with all these myths to claim a position and to claim authority which they don't deserve. And we have to take that down, that ivory tower there. And we have to say that it should not be like that. And the only way to do that in a proper way is to go back to ethics. Okay, this is what we need to have. This is what we should do. And let's see how we do that. And not to to use science for projects that destroy our planet and whatsoever. And all the claims. So science, and that you'll see that article, should take a good a positive backseat. You have to emancipate and liberate science from science itself, what it is now, and make it instrumental for a human project, which it is not. It has been historically, it was not doing that. There were, of course, a couple of scientists who did some good thing, but that institution should be subordinated to ethics. And I think that that is what I say, that if we don't make a transition from the scientific age to the ethical age, we're in problem. You had the naturalistic age, you had the mythological age, you had the theological age, and then the scientific age came. And people thought it was a good thing, but it was really bad in one aspect, because science abolished ethics. Don't ask a scientist whether genocide is good or bad. Say, no, go ask the priest. That's not my business. They cannot talk about beauty. They cannot talk about aesthetics. They cannot talk about ethics, because that is not their thing. And that's why they should drop their position and leave it for others who can do that. So that's what we need to do, I think. So I think we have a fundamental thing that relates to what we're discussing, is that we have to ethics and morality back. And that brings me back to the moral resource of humanity. It's the only fault we have. If we cannot mobilize that, we can forget about humanity's future. You can go fishing and hiking, forget about humanity if you cannot bring ethics back, because that is the problem we are suffering now.
Can I just give an example to what was said earlier?
Sure.
Pretty much what I think it was Google who said to the 4-day week, Ray, hurry up and work 7 days a week so we can replace you sooner. That was essentially the message that they were sending to their workers. I mean, the ethics of that is just unbelievable. But they were saying, you have to work 60 hours a week to get this done so we can replace you sooner, because that's what we're doing. So I think we're spot on here in terms of some of the truths we have come to in terms of the relationship of science and ethics and AI and the planet and nature and our intentionality. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Let me, if we are getting to the end of the hour, after some 12 minutes left, and we have to respect your time. So let me bring everything, try to bring it back to this incognito. We don't have a solution. We have a concern. Our concern is legitimate. We want to survive as a species. We want to leave a better place for the next generation. That is unnegotiable, but we don't know how. So that's not a problem. We have the intention. We have to keep that. There is no way that any circumstance in the world, whether they throw atomic bomb or not, can take out that intention. So that's not the question. We should not be frustrated. Yeah, about there's nothing wrong with our intention. That is secure from all frustration. The problem is, it is beautiful to have intent. How do you realize it? That we have to take it seriously, because we have to try to do something, because the alternative is clear. People who don't believe in the alternative will see it. When they don't believe, they don't believe that global warming is there, they will feel it through their skin when nature sends the heat through their skin. They will not hear it, but they feel it. So one of the things that people say, you need a lot of money. Money is a bad thing. It's a very bad thing, but it is there. You need a lot of money to solve the problem. You need the billions. Well, if we need the billions, and we need it actually, we will find the billions. So we have to find how to find the billions in a way that is not the way they do it. We have to mobilize this, not only the money, but the energy, the resources, all of that should come in place. And that is the project of humanity now. Because when you don't have money and people depend on their work, they have to survive, they are vulnerable. They cannot come to this meeting because they have to work, and they have to be careful that their employer don't kick them out, and they have to be very careful what they say on LinkedIn. And I have 2,600 plus followers on LinkedIn. I posted something yesterday, and in one day I got 35 or 40 views, one like, because my followers don't see me, because they don't want to spread a message that we need an extra systemic solution because their algorithm discovered that, and I'm almost silenced on LinkedIn. But 2,600 followers, I don't see. So that are examples that they have. So we have to accept that they are powerful, but our question is not there's nothing wrong with our intention. We cannot even discuss that. The point is that we don't have a solution, and that we have to acknowledge, but we are working for it. And there will be, if I talk about the moral reserves of humanity, I'm talking about these 9 people here. We are the moral reserves of humanity because we took the courage to come here. What if we start doing something? We don't start doing here because there's not a movement. But if we start bringing more people into that simple thing, is that there is nothing wrong with our intention. We agree with that. We need a solution and try to work. And then we should be open for alternatives. I think the moment has come for humanity because the dangers are becoming too big right now and surely next year to start up something quite different. And I think that the prospects are good because a lot of people are sensible to what we discuss here, and we have to bring them on board, not only in this meeting, but with you, but all kinds of a meeting. Okay, so let's go for 8 minutes. Let's go for a round where you can wrap up, you can evaluate, you can come up with ideas in this meeting. Everybody can make a final statement. Yes, Gabi?
Well, what I can get after almost 2 hours of this interesting conversation, it's so nice to see all of you. Erika, don't feel alone being there. And this is the point. I see as a Mexican the big problem in the United States. I studied in Gainesville, Florida. People have been told this grandeur and perfect lie. It's a lie. What I can share with you, since my own background, is creating communities is going to be the change of what we are trying to mushrooming. You need to get together from the heart. This is a great thing you did today, Erika. From the heart, creating communities. Women, we have that power to link people from the heart because we are related with giving birth to, you have these 2 kids, and hope, create hope. I've learned from the survivors of the Inquisition, which are all these nations in my own country, 62 languages still alive. Nobody knows this. How come? This is a hole in education. But Mazahuas, Zapotecos, Purépechas, Kickapoo, North, South, 62 languages still alive. Why these people survived? These people survived 300 years of horrible, Catholic Church. They survived thanks to the communities they did. And they were living, as Glenn theory, extra systemically. Why they could survive? They could produce their foods because they were linked to earth. They were linked to the earth. These people didn't think that the earth could be sold. Now Bill Gates buying all the lands everywhere, you know, and the gentrification of cities. My own city, people who used to live here for 100, 200 years, families, they have to leave because they cannot pay the rent anymore in certain neighborhoods in Mexico City. But it's happening everywhere. It's New York, it's Amsterdam, it's San Francisco. Where is these people going, you know? And so I think we have a great opportunity to create communities. And I hope the 9 people we were in this conversation, we begin creating a special sort of community. And as a woman, I can tell you, these communities cannot exist just from the head. It has to be from the heart and have to be from the guts. In my country, we say from huevos, the genitals. You must be strong and using these opportunities to grow. I don't have the solution. And I feel like these kids, 15-year-olds saying, I want to change the world, but I don't know how. And I'm beginning my 60th years, and I've been trying to change the world. I've done it. I've changed my own world and giving hope and good things for the people around, but we have to do more. And this is probably a great step. Thank you, Eileen. Yeah, women like you are fabulous. And thank you, Ray. Thank you, Says. Thank you, Christina. It's a fantastic San Giovanni, Emmanuel. Thank you. Let's continue these conversations and incorporate in the future more people, especially the youngsters who deserve really a better life, not life, a better everything. And if we can add with a grain of sand to make the whole world better, is our moral obligation. So thank you to everybody.
Thank you, Gabi. Let me make a small comment because it's still on. Welcome, Sanjifani. She's from India, and she messaged me that she could not make it early, but she's there with us. So happy to have her. We don't have a solution, but we will not rest before we find one, because the alternative is unacceptable. That's it. Maybe we'll not find, but we will not rest, and we will be open. We don't have no dogma, no theory, no model. We want a solution, and we are open to all of that. What we have in this meeting, nobody is dictating. We are searching as a quest, and we'll do it together. But there is no other option than continue to find a solution. And I have a good feeling that we'll find it in the coming years. Because when the whole system is rotting away in evolution, there are processes, that rotting processes can bring new life. And I feel that the germ for that new life is that I'm extremely happy that not what's happening, of course, but there are signs that people say, no, this is not what we want. We will create something new. We'll forget about this and create. So let's go. That process will go on with or without any one of us, but I'm sure that all of us will want to contribute to that. So let me give the chance, because already time for a last comment, and then we can wrap up or close the session. If there are no other comments, then okay, so
I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for listening to me droning on. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's been wonderful to hear everybody, the different voices, and I kind of feel privileged in a way because, I live in a European country that has a lot of things still going for it. Yeah, thank you, Glenn, for really making a space for ideas to germinate and to start to mix things up a little bit. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you as well. Thank you for the opportunity, Glenn and Cease, for putting this together so we can have these opportunities for conversation and to share values with each other. And I appreciate everyone's comments today. I learned a lot, and it's very encouraging to hear the things that everyone said. I definitely agree with Glenn that the moral reserves of humanity is what's most important, because no matter what we do, if it's not morally right, it's going to lead to, destructive things. So that's kind of been my conclusion in my short little life. Just all the paths that I've looked down. I just want to live no matter, none of us know how long we're going to be here. But if I'm here today, you know, I want to live with a good conscience and know that whatever I did today was the best that I could give, you know. I still hold close to my faith because faith supersedes all the material world. But I just try to every day, you know, count my blessings and find gratitude. And I think there's so much good in the world. We just have to find it and look for it. And if you look for it, you'll find it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Erika. So we are getting to the end of this session. We're on the top of the hour. It is 11 o'clock. Let me thank all of you. I enjoyed it very much and I learned a lot. And not so much new things, but the intention and the emanation of energy that is there. So there's a lot we have as spare parts for a better future, and we have to mobilize it. So let me thank all of you for being with us in this session, and we look forward for the next opportunity to continue this dialogue on rescuing our future. Thank you all.
I certainly want to say thanks to everybody. I think I said it before, but want to say it again. Thank you. It was most stimulating, and I think we can all leave with some level of hope. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you all.